these are the challenges that all of us are dealing with right now, right? It's
Oh,
like, I mean, normally I would love to go see my customers face to face, do the belly to belly thing, right? And now I'm gonna be this audio guy. Like,
I know, I
I
know.
got the mic set up here, and I got a camera going, and I got some lamps. So I don't look too
it's
bad.
crazy.
Yeah,
But you know what though?
yeah,
We're working our way through it. We're
you are.
resilient. We're figuring out solutions.
Absolutely.
And I look at where I'm at today in terms of how I'm using video and so forth, and where I was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
This is a good skill we're picking up. So
I think so. I think it's a valuable skill that we're picking up, and it's going to make us so much more efficient. Like, I
oh
mean, like, I'm sure you were on the road a lot, speaking to people, clients, and now I'm having similar conversations, but I'm doing a lot more Zoom, so I get a little
yeah,
burnout there. But still, I mean, now I'm home. I get to hang out with the wife more,
yeah.
and so it makes life a little bit smoother. It is a different challenge, but still, I mean, I have more time, so how can I
It's
complain?
it's crazy because this whole time thing. I'm really wondering how did I find time to travel before?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what. And really, what's interesting is so many times before, um, people wanted to go belly belly with you,
Right.
and you just scheduled it, and you just never could get the deal to close.
Hmm.
But now because we use Zoom so much, we use everything else. It's geographical boundaries are
Right.
not nearly as kind of limiting as they were before.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So now where are you at in the country?
I'm in Pasadena, so
Pasadena.
right outside of LA.
Yep.
Was born and raised in Pittsburgh, uh,
Okay.
but I was in Atlanta for some time, and I've been following you, Jeb Blunt. I mean, your whole crew, man. I mean, everybody who you hang out with, I look up to you guys. Like, you guys are the OGs. You guys have blazed the path. You kind of got me out of college.
Well, that's
Allowed me
neat.
to
Well,
pay
that's neat.
off
You know
some
what,
debt.
though? I mean,
Yeah,
we're,
yeah,
we're just out there hustling every day. In fact, it's funny. I traded notes this morning with Anthony and
yeah.
Jeb,
Hmm.
and yeah, we just keep you know you keep throwing enough stuff against the wall, and right. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, you
Sure.
throw enough stuff, and then you eventually find something that sticks. And along the way, you find a lot of things that don't work. And I look at it this way: no, it just moves me in a different direction. Um, so yeah, it's kind of funny because I came out with this book here a few months ago.
I'm just finishing it up now, man. Yep.
Well, it's great, great.
I want to touch into it. Yeah.
Would you do me a favor when you get done? Throw a review out on Amazon.
Done.
Um, I would certainly. I'm in a contest with a couple people to get to 100 reviews,
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
and I'm at 80, and there's a steak dinner on the line.
Oh man.
And
Well, make it like
so,
70. Make it like 81 automatically, man. I'll
hey,
definitely have that
man,
done. Yeah.
I love you, man. I love you.
I respect, no problem, man. I mean, but like, but like, honestly though, I mean, the fact that your whole crew, right? You, Jeb, and the rest of the guys you kind of hang out with, tight circle. You guys are obviously leaders in the whole like sales space, and it's great to know that you guys are out innovating and hustling, and it's one of those things that's really empowering for a guy like myself and maybe some of the audience as well, where it's like knowing that okay, everyone's trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Everybody's in it. We're all up to the same stuff, and so yeah, I think that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. There is nobody that is above one. I mean, we're again, and that's what I love about sales because I think we've been fortunate to create a sales community of people who just give and take, and really not give and take, just give and give and give,
Yeah.
and boy, it makes us all better. Makes us all better.
Well, you know what, man? If you're all good, I finally plugged in my mic. I realized that my mic was off. So let me
That's
just,
okay.
yeah, because I was probably coming through sound like a robot before.
Well, no, you sound. But now we're listening to smooth melody.
That's right. It's not even like, midnight yet, but we got the whole smooth jazz voice going again.
Smooth jazz.
People don't normally
K
like my looks, so I have to just solely rely on my actual, voice here. So
yeah, yeah. KCLA.
it's all right. It's all right. I should have been advertising. Should have, man. But so
There
you
you
know
go.
what? I want to welcome on the legend Mark Hunter onto the podcast, man. Again, as I was saying earlier, always looked up to you. I think what you do is really cool, just from the standpoint that you're talking about confidence right now, and you're talking about having integrity, right? And one of the things that, as a young sales guy, I was debating about whether I should get into like physical therapy or whether I should do like sales, right? When I was back in school, and I chose sales mainly because my mom was also in sales, and I was like, you know what? I need to make some money too. I'm like, I could make some more money in sales probably than like, PT. And, but one of the rubs there was that whole negative connotation, man, of like, you're in sales and you're a sleazy, we always use like the used car salesman guy. I'm not sure why, but but you're one of those guys, right? You're one of those guys. You're here just saying anything. You wanted to just tickle my ear. You don't bring any value. And I'm like, damn it, how do I get around that? And then I find some of your content, man. So yeah, welcome on to the podcast, man. I think you've been doing some good work for a while now.
Hey, thank you. And you know what? I mean, I can relate to that. I can relate to exactly where you're at. In my book, my book of Mind for Sales, I talk about how I got into sales and how I was such a dismal failure. And it was because I share in the book how I felt creepy. Yeah. I felt creepy because it felt like I was just trying to jam stuff down people's throat. You talk about the used car. My first sales job, you'll love this. Yeah, I was selling sides of beef.
Oh man, you're just straight slabs of meat?
Sides of beef, hanging beef. That's what I was selling to stores and to restaurants.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about a sleaze job. I mean, yeah. But I got into it because I needed because I couldn't afford car insurance because of my driving record. Yeah. And they supplied me with a car. And of course I got fired from that job. I got another job. Same thing happened again. And it's until you get your head screwed on straight and realize that sales is about helping people. It's amazing how you go sideways. And I think there's no wonder why there's such a turnover in the sales profession. It's sad.
It really is. I mean, for people that can like embody that service mindset, right? Say, hey, I'm here to help. Like, however that looks, and kind of really put the, people first, customers, clients, patients, whoever they are, up front. I mean, like, how do you get out of that funk though? Like, how do you get out of that negative mindset? Because I was there too. Like, I mean, a couple of my first inside sales jobs, I mean, I was just literally making 100+ phone calls a day, hoping that I can just, close someone, right? Right. And, I want to talk about all those negative terms and all that. Yeah.
Well, I was just there 15 minutes ago. No.
No.
I mean, what you really have to do is there's two things that you have to shift in your thinking. And this is what I really, truly believe. One is you got to be focused on people. You got to be focused on people. It's not what you sell. It's being focused on people. And when you really put people first, this is what happened to me. It was my third job. My boss pulled me aside. I thought I was getting fired. And he taught me a life lesson. That sales is about people. It's about helping people. And now, how do you get that to a prospecting mindset? Because that's the challenge. And here's what it comes down to. It's not what you sell. It isn't what you sell. And it isn't even why you sell. Well, it is why you sell. It's not how you sell. It's why you sell. And what I mean by this is because you can help people. I'll share a quick story. My daughter stepped outside her house. This was a couple years ago, and saw smoke coming out of a house right down the street from her. Now, she didn't know the people. They just moved in a few months earlier. She didn't know them. She had no idea who they were. Now, she immediately called 911 and ran down to that house to make sure they were all out. Now, fortunately, nobody was hurt. It was more smoke than there was flames.
That's good.
But think about this for a moment. She could have said, oh, I don't know those people. I'm going to wait for somebody else. Maybe I'll connect with them on Facebook. Maybe I'll connect with them on Instagram. No, she knew she could help them. So she knew it was her obligation to go help them. This is what you have to look at. This is the attitude you have to have when it comes to sales. If you know who your ICP is, your ideal customer profile is, and you dial in on that, what happens is then you begin to say, hey, I know I can make a difference. I know I can call these people. I know I can call these people. And it becomes your obligation. There's a company outside of Youngstown, Ohio, that I was about ready to do business with just prior to COVID. Just just before COVID. And they were struggling. And let me tell you something, they are struggling now. They are really having issues. But you know what? I'm still reaching out to them on a continuous basis, sharing with them insights, sharing with them ideas, because I know I can help them. I know I can help them. And they're going through issues, but I see, I'm not giving up on them. You see, when you're zeroed in on how you can help them, and I've met some of the people there. They're great people. I want to help the people. You see, sales to me it's a passion to help people. I could have been a plumber. I could have been an electrician. I could have been any number of things. But I chose sales because it's the opportunity I have to be able to influence and impact as many people as possible. That's what I love doing. That's what sales is. Yeah.
I think that's so spot on. And you know, one of the common, I guess, questions a lot of my colleagues and people have that are in these industries that they're not quote unquote passionate about. I lucked up because, you know, again, I was, you know, I wanted to be in like physical therapy. Ended up, you know, working in healthcare on that business side as far as sales and marketing. So I'm working in that actual space that I care a lot about. But I've sold stuff like that I wasn't crazy about, like transportation services and warehousing, and you know, it's like, how do you kind of help those guys that they're in this space where it's like, all right, I'm in sales, I want to help, I got that, but I'm not passionate about blank industry or blank, you know, product, service, whatever. What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah, let me share with you. This was a conversation I had just the other day. This was a gentleman. He's probably about 28 or 29. He's selling roofing for commercial businesses. Now, you know, and he was upset. Or I can't stand sales. You know, he said, yeah, it's not. And I said, hold on. I said, who are the last 5 customers that you've sold to? And he rattled off a couple of businesses and a couple of small factories and so forth. And I said, okay, so now think about this for a moment. What would have happened if you had not enabled them, sold them? Could they be looking at a leaky roof? Could they be looking at a roof collapse? Could they be looking at any number of things? How do you think those employees would respond if they were told they couldn't come to work because there was a flood, roof collapse? How do you think those employees would be able to feed their family, their kids? You see, what you're doing is you're helping that business to keep going. And by helping that business to keep going, they have employees, they have customers. You see, you have to look at it as anything you sell is helping somebody somewhere. And that's the mentality, that's the approach. It's not roofing. What you're doing is you're helping this company that owns this building to be able to keep operating. Because if they can't, then they're not going to be able to charge rent. They're not going to be able, you know, whatever it might be. So I always challenge salespeople. Look at what you do, not as a product or a service, but look at what you do as a individual, as a person. I had a person who was charged with making 75 to 100 calls a day. And boy, they were despondent. And I said, yeah, and I bet you got pictures of your product all over your desk. Oh yeah, I got the product catalog and all that sort of stuff on his desk. And right. I said, you know what to do? Go out on the internet and start printing some photos of people and put them on the wall behind your desk, you know, right in front of your phone. Put pictures, put company names. Begin to look at who it is that you're helping. And it was interesting. I shared this a few weeks ago, and I followed back up with him the other day. And no, he hasn't turned into a sales superstar, but he says, you know what? I am now consistently hitting 100 dials a day, and I never was before. And I think it's because I've now got focused. And he said, I've also been able to book some great discovery calls, been able to book some demos, and it's starting to turn for him because focused on the people. Focused on the outcome. That's what I tell people. Write down what is the not what you sell, write down the outcome you create. What's the outcome your customers have been able to create? That's huge.
That is huge. I mean, and as a guy that's sold stuff that had struggled to really understand why I'm selling it, you know, but right? I mean,
yeah.
But the actual outcomes, though, I mean, that's something that can hopefully automatically get people to kind of switch into a different mindset.
Yeah, because I mean, my first job, I was selling dead cows. I mean, dead cows. Okay. I mean, believe me, and I should have realized it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This beef that I'm selling is going to help this restaurant be able to put out the most exquisite meal tonight. Take care of this banquet. Take care of, if I had looked at it in that manner, I think I would have gotten over my about sales a lot sooner.
And so this is great that we're talking about this, because I'm not sure how many companies are spending resources towards understanding the mindsets of their salespeople on their team, or even trying to help them kind of build that up. But like, you also talk a lot about confidence, and confidence is something that can be kind of confusing because people view it as like an ego trip. Like, you got to come in and scream at people. But let me get your thoughts on how you define confidence and like how it should be applied in business.
Confidence is just believing that you can make a difference in someone else. That's all it comes down to. And believing that you have the skill. Now, you may not have the answer. A lot of times I go into situations and I work with all kinds of different companies. I don't necessarily have the solution, but I have the questions. And collectively, this is the measurement of confidence in a salesperson is when the salesperson can ask the customer question that the customer can't answer and the salesperson can't answer. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. Because most salespeople love to ask customers questions that the customer can't answer, but they can answer, and that's how they look good.
Of course.
And the
I beat my chest.
Right,
I'm the biggest and baddest guy out here. Yeah. I know everything more than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the customer just rolls their eyes and go, oh, another stupid salesperson who thinks they know everything. Right? So what I want to do is, when I have this level of confidence, because the customer sees me as being competent, as being knowledgeable, I can sit here and I can ask you questions that you can't answer and I can't. What is that? That creates a conversation. That creates a conversation at an entirely different level. That's how I, as a salesperson, create job security. I mean, because now I see, my definition of sales is to help you see and achieve what you did not think was possible. Think about that for a moment. Help you see and achieve what you did not think was possible. And I can't do that unless I challenge your thinking. I can't do that unless I'm willing to really, poke my head under the tent and see what's there.
And more so, even what you're bringing up is something that's powerful, because you're poking your head up underneath that actual tent, not knowing what's going to happen or what conversations are going to be kind of having afterwards, but you're willing to do it. That shows that I can roll with you however we want to do this, and
Yes.
I can still bring value to this conversation, even though we don't know where we're going with it yet, right?
Yes, because I'm comfortable. Because here's the whole thing. I want you, the customer, to feel like you're driving, but I'm really in charge.
Yeah.
See, because when I allow you to feel like you're driving, you're going to be much more transparent, much more open with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is I have found the more open, the more integrity, the more transparency I bring to you, the customer, the more you are to me. Because, it's amazing how we generally respond to people the way they respond to us. Right. I mean, we've all seen that. We've all noticed. I mean, you can walk into a restaurant, you can walk into any place, and if the wait staff is really, really nice, it's amazing how you just become nicer too.
Yep.
And same thing if you're a jerk, you become a jerk very quickly. But salespeople don't have bad customers. No, bad salespeople have bad customers.
Yeah. I love that, man. I mean, so we're talking already confidence. We're already tapping into mindset. I know you have a lot of, great questions that you like to kind of talk about, and you already talk about asking tough questions, but it's the simplicity of it, right? Because sometimes we get lost into, like you said, we want to beat our chest, we want to look big, want to like, I know more. That's why you got to do business with me, because I know, right? right.
Oh.
But sometimes it can take people on a walk that's just unnecessary.
We do. And then we wonder why the customer doesn't call us back. Why the customer goes dark on us, why we never hear from them again, why they go silent. Mm-hmm. Because you haven't been helping them. And in fact, it's funny, I was talking with a salesperson this morning, mm-hmm. and they have a 10-step cadence, It's a fairly simple sale. They know who their ICP is. They know who everything is.
Mhm.
And I was asking her, I said, okay, so where are you breaking through on? Is it with the email? Is it with the voicemail or the phone call? She says, well, it's always the phone call. I said, okay, what were 8 seconds? Oh, it's the voicemail. Email, no, email doesn't work. Email doesn't work for me. Now, for her particular niche, I see that because it's so personality driven. It's so relationship driven.
Hmm.
But she was able to allow her personality to come through in the voicemail. Oh, it's a fairly scripted voicemail. She deviates a little bit, but she puts personality into it. And when she gets them on the phone, it's like, wow, it's a conversation. You see, no customer wants to say, oh man, I hope a salesperson calls me up today and lectures me.
Yeah.
Right?
Give me the lecture from the sales guy.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And yet that's too many times what salespeople do, because they want to read from this script. They want to go from this, and there's no human element.
Hmm.
When we take the human element out of sales, you're going to be replaced.
Yeah. I was speaking to a couple other sales leaders, man, and they were pretty concerned about the future of sales because of that. With all the AI and everything coming in, now there's like so many things that could be done through software, and you can try to navigate more of the sale down up to the last, up to that last mile. That's still a challenge, especially like in B2B. But I mean, what's your whole thoughts on that? Because you're right, like you can get taken out of the process when you become too much like a robot, because there's robots out there that can do it for us.
Right. If it's a simple transaction,
Sure.
you will be replaced. But here's the whole thing. Here's the way I look at it, and I talk about it in one of the last chapters in my book. Look at financial planners. Okay, if you were a stockbroker, go back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and all your orders had to be placed, buy and sell orders had to be placed through a stockbroker, and you would call up a stockbroker. And the stockbroker really knew that they had to be at their desk pretty much anytime the market was open. They had to be at their desk because they always had on their voicemail, orders cannot be placed by way of voicemail, but they knew they had to be there. Now, along comes automation. So most people can place their trades online. They don't need a stockbroker. So has the stockbroker gone away? No. What's happened is this. The stockbroker maybe used to have 200 clients and they managed 100% of their portfolio. Today, that same financial planner, that stockbroker, may have 600 clients and may manage 1/3 of each person's portfolio. Because what they're doing is they're just providing a little niche of a service, and everything is being taken care of over here. The salesperson is never going to be replaced. It's just the span of our control, the interface of who we connect with, and the value we bring changes. My goal as a salesperson is to always be able to deliver to you information that you did not know you didn't know, because I know you. When I am able to do that, I'm never going to be replaced. So I'm bullish on the future of sales. It's going to change.
Yeah.
It's going to change our geographical territories, however we want to call it. Oh yeah, that's going to change dramatically. Yeah. Global competition. Oh yeah, without a doubt. You think we've seen? No, it's going. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things will change, but it never goes away.
I love that,
the role
man.
of a salesperson.
Yeah. It's something that, at least a couple of years back, I can remember all these death of a salesperson blog posts that were coming out, and a lot of things like AI is going to do all of it for us. Don't worry, guys. You never have to pick up another sales call. And a lot of stuff was being pushed out throughout the whole atmosphere. But what's the skills then? Do you think that today's salespeople need to really acquire to be able to ask those questions or to gather that insight?
Yeah. One of the big things that the salesperson has to do is understand downstream and upstream. You see, what's happened is, and think about many inside call centers. You just had this automated, here's the next call, here's the next call. You had no idea who you're calling.
Right.
So we're moving very much over to this informed warm call. Okay. But here's the whole thing. I've got to understand your business so well that I know who your customer is. So I'm really looking at who's my customers, and who are my customers. I got to be able to go downstream. I got to be able to go upstream, look at the supply chain. You see, I have to be able to, this is critical knowledge, and this is why I'm telling sales organizations more than ever, you have to become very vertically centered. In other words, this industry, this particular segment, because you've got to understand that all the way through the supply chain. Geographical territories are just gone, gone. Because again, that's going to be replaced by a delivery service, by a bot.
True.
The other piece that you have to understand is you have to understand, where is the company going? Where is the company? We have to become much more astute, and let's talk about B2B. From a business management standpoint, I am amazed at the naivete of so many salespeople I run into who have no clue as to really the fundamentals of businesses in the industry they're selling into. We've got to understand those. We are going to be challenged and tasked with understanding our customers at a much deeper level. Because remember, our customers understand us, right? Because they're going out and doing all this research on the internet before they even call us. So guess what? If they're going to be armed, if they're going to be knowledgeable, we better be knowledgeable. So that's why I really call for vertical integration from a selling standpoint, more so than ever now.
Man, that's crucial. I mean, and hopefully once the audience catches this, man, I mean, this is something that they have to start asking themselves, like, how much do I truly know about this industry? I mean, this is something I had to learn and constantly learning, right? Still trying to figure out to this day, what's all those nuances that are happening behind the scenes and like how everything impacts everything. Is that something that should be shaped by upper management, or is that something as like a regular salesperson on the bottom floor making 100 dials, they should take some ownership with? What's your whole thoughts with that?
Well, I want management to lead the way, but if they're not willing to lead the way, you still got to do it. You still better do it. And it doesn't, this is what I find so interesting. If you just spent 15 or 20 minutes a day studying your industry, or we'll say maybe you sell into 3 industries, just spend 15 minutes a day on one of those industries. But you do that for a month or two, and it's amazing how much more brilliant you'll be. Let me tell you something. A 2-watt light bulb looks pretty bright in a dark room. I mean, stop and think about that for a moment. I mean, seriously.
That's a great point.
I mean, it doesn't take long to gain that insight. Now, I'd hope management's providing it, but you gotta absorb. I encounter this all the time with salespeople. They call me with different issues, and I go, "Well, what do you know about them?" And they, I looked at their website. Oh, whoopee dee! You looked at their website. Hello, excuse me.
Yeah.
Man, do you even know who their customers are? Have you looked at one of their customers' websites? Oh, well, maybe you should.
That's a great point, man. I mean, it's a great point because, common things that you hear, of course, is, Mark, I just don't have time, man. Like, I got to make these 100 dials.
Right. So what the art is, they're caught up in the motion. And this is where I'm going to come back, and I'm going to push back on companies. In fact, it's interesting. Last fall, I was working with a company, and they wanted their outbound salespeople to make 150 contacts a day. 150 contacts a day.
That's rolling. That's rolling. Yeah.
Now, whether it be telephone, whether it be voicemail, whether it be email, whatever, but 150. And some of them were actually getting up to 200, 225, because they were just banging out emails. And the results sucked. The results sucked. They had all this activity, but nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I raised this issue, I said, guys, this is just way too much. Way too much. Bring it down. And I just spoke with them just the other day, and they're bringing it down. I wish they'd bring it down more. I wish they'd bring it down to no more than 35 to 50.
Really? 35 to 50?
Well, to allow, because what they sell, it's a SaaS product. It's fairly complex. Mm-hmm. They need to do research. They need to be able to research, and they be able to nurture their prospects. But when you're sitting there banging out 150, 200, you're just, email 3, email 4, email 5, voicemail 2, voicemail 3. And no wonder they're not getting results. When you get to know the customer and their challenges, and remember, nobody buys anything. And I don't care if this is B2B or B2C. Nobody buys anything. They invest. And don't think for a moment, well, in B2B, it's all about low price. It's, it's low. No, 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 no. Every decision is backed up by emotion. Every decision, even that bidding process is backed up by emotion. Yeah, they may be looking for a low price, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of low prices that just plain suck because they don't deliver. They do not deliver. So it isn't, low price is not a sustainable competitive advantage. And when I see organizations going through this repetition model, just speed, they automatically think, well, if we just cut our price, we just cut our price. I go, that's stupid. Stupid.
Man, this is high quality conversation for me, because it's something that we struggle with on my team, honestly, is that, I'll be the first to be super guilty of being too busy and not having enough impact. Right. And you even talk about this in your book, and this is kind of why I wanted to kind of harp on it and stay there for a second, so I can feel the pain, and hopefully some listeners can too. but as far as being busy, and there's so many ways that we can get to them though, Mark. I can hit them with the email. I got them on LinkedIn. I got the Instagram. There's so many ways I can like contact, right? So many more people. And I know that even if I have a garbage message, if I can get to 0.1% and get that garbage out, I'll get some deals out of it. How would you kind of come back and help me understand the problem with being too much activity?
Well, even a blind squirrel will find an occasional acorn.
Right.
Okay. This is kind of what happens. And I'll be the first to admit, you just pound away on something, you will eventually have success. But you'll probably wind up with a really sore body. You will not have a good mental state. Yeah. And this is where I talk about it. It's dialing in on your ICP. And this is where I come back. This is the number one piece. Who is your ideal customer profile? And the more you can build it out, the more you can build it out. I was talking to a person the other day, solopreneur. And they described, and I said, who's your perfect customer? And they described it. I said, you got to get tighter. Because in this global marketplace that we're in, you have to get very tight, because the tighter you become, when you're dealing with those people, they will place more value in you. They'll place more value in what you have. They'll pay you more. And don't think, well, I can't slice this so thin that I don't have a marketplace. Well, excuse me, but you know what? It's amazing the number of companies that make a tremendous successful business out there with only really 500 prospects, maybe globally.
Right.
So, don't think for a moment that you have to cut it so wide, and then you cut it wide and you say, well, I got 3 billion people who could buy my product. Well, you can't reach 3 billion people. Okay. So Get over it.
But you know what? This actually ties back to a much more meaningful conversation about mindset. Having the awareness in yourself to know what you're truly trying to impact in the world, right? Like, not just getting into this place where ego-driven, narcissistic. I want to conquer it all. I want to get it all. I want the largest amount of market share I can get. Into where do you have this lane that's really going to mean something to someone?
Oh, that's what you just said was spot on. You have to be comfortable in your own lane. The more comfortable you are in your own lane, the more confident you will be. See, where people become uncomfortable is when they start selling outside their lane, outside their comfort zone. And you may have this person who calls you up, or you may have this lead, and it doesn't fit your company's ICP. But I know we can do this. Yeah, but you know what? It just stresses you out.
Yeah.
And when you can stay in your lane, it's amazing. Like today, I started my first call this morning at 7. I've been going nonstop. I haven't even had a chance to grab a bite to eat. Hopefully I will sometime today. But you know what? I'm having a blast, because everything I'm doing is right in my ICP. And is fitting including call with you right now, fitting who I want to be talking to, who I want to be sharing with. And it just keeps me going. I find that when you have the right mindset, it's amazing how much more momentum you have. It's amazing. And momentum creates success. I mean, I have in the book what I call the success wheel. And yeah, it's amazing how it just gets rolling. It just gets rolling. It just gets rolling. And I know where I want to be come about 5:30 or 6 o'clock tonight, because we're recording this on a Friday, because about 6 o'clock tonight, I want to be able to shut things down for the evening. I want to spend some time with my wife. But I've got these goals, and doggone it, I'm going to make sure that I nail every one of them, because I got momentum. I'm pumped.
Man, I would love for you to talk about that actual wheel in like 2 seconds as well, because this is obviously going into a space that is not tactical. It's not sure, what do you say? How do you say it? What's the right question to ask so you can go ahead and get the deal done stuff. But man, this is probably the most important thing. I mean, to me, just because you're really tapping into a place of trying to build your life that you want to build it like, so you can, obviously work hard, but so you can live your life though. And
Yeah.
I think one of the big things that we struggle with, and what COVID has kind of woken up a lot of my business partners up to as well, is that when you're at home and because out here in California, they made us stay home. Cali operates in their own separate bubble. I'm sure you probably have some clients out this way. But it forced you to be in your own space, in your own head, and look around and say, all right, maybe I can do things differently, And so anyway, yeah, I would love for you to tap into the actual wheel as well.
Well, it really is all about just creating success. You think about a wheel, once it gets going, it just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole objective, and I talk about it in the book in terms of having a meat lover's pizza goal. If you've seen the movie Tommy Boy, there's a wonderful scene in there about the meat lover's pizza. I won't bother to. But anyway,
Classic.
It's creating an early morning goal. I strongly suggest this. You create an early morning goal. And for instance, this morning, I mean, I had a call. It was a potential sales call and so forth. I wasn't quite sure where it's going to go. And that's how I started the day. And boom, it got me going. So I always say, set yourself up with a goal, something that you can accomplish early in the morning. And that begins to get you going. Over the course of the day, you want to continue to accelerate. So then that second activity is going to be what I'm going to call eat the frog. Brian Tracy used that line. He said, eat the frog first thing in the morning, because that'll be the worst thing you do. So what I'm going to do is that second thing out of the chute, I'm going to make sure it's my most difficult task. And sure enough, I had a project, I had a proposal I needed to get out the door, and I need to get some solid thinking time on it. Boom, got it done. When I got done, I feel good, and I got it done in the allotted time. I'd said I got 45 minutes to get this done, and then I move on to the next task. And what happens is momentum continues to create momentum. See, what I always find is this is what drives me nuts. People will sit there and say, I'm not motivated. I'm not motivated. And they say it as if it's their boss's obligation to motivate them. Yeah. Let me tell you something. If you're a sales manager, sales leader listening to this, nobody can motivate. You can't motivate your people. You cannot motivate you. All you can do is create an environment for your people to motivate themselves. That's all you can do. I'll give you an example. Gentleman called me the other day, or he sent me a message. He's in the UK. Okay, they're still in shelter in place in the UK. And he's the only salesperson in the UK for this company. And it's a US based company. And he says, man, how do I get, it's just, when I start, everybody's still asleep in the States. It's just, yeah. And I said, what you got to do is you got to find one or two peers, one or two friends of yours in sales in the UK area. And you three or you two need to get on the phone every morning, first thing, for 5 minutes. And just share, what was your success? What's your goal for today? And you create a mini mastermind group. And again, I talk about that in the book. You got to create a mastermind group that's going to motivate you. Maybe there's a text message you send. Maybe there's a way, you have to, you create this vehicle. So what you're doing is you're helping lift up other people, and other people are helping to lift up you, but it gets you moving. Now I'll be anxious because I told this guy, I said, call me back in a couple of weeks, or pop me an email in a couple of weeks. I want to hear if you've been able to set it up and get it going. But it really comes down to, you have to stay in the game. Now it's interesting. I use a stand-up desk. I'm standing up. And let me tell you something, it puts a whole lot more energy into everything I do. And I think it accelerates my productivity. There's no ifs. So you got to do what fits for you, but don't allow COVID, don't allow what's going on out there to be distractions. It's so easy to be consumed with all the noise out there. I can't change what's going on out in the world. All I can do is change how I respond to what's going on in the world.
It's the best, man. It's the best. I mean, like, to me, this is valuable information because even for myself, right? COVID hits and you're like, oh man, you hit the panic button. All right, what's this mean for our business? How do we do this? What's next? How do we keep the team together? All those questions are swirling now, right? But having that network of people, oh man, is clutch. Especially if you guys can all get each other thinking productively about how you're going to navigate life, just all of it, right? Like just a group, right? I mean, man, it's killer, night and day. One of the things I would recommend to anybody as well, especially when you're in that type of space. But and so, if you don't mind, you also talk about this whole network triangle. I know the mastermind is a piece of it.
Yeah.
Talk about the other two elements, if you don't mind.
Well, the other two elements, and I'm going to kind of phrase up a little bit different than what we have in the book, but I want to create this subject matter expert group. And this is going to be a smaller group. This may be 10 or 15 people that you can call on as subject matter experts. I'll give you a very quick example of this. This is a network of people. I knew a small business owner. Well, they had about 200 employees. So that's not necessarily a small business. And they wanted to put in place a CRM system. He had a couple of IT people. And the IT people came to him, and it very quickly, he began to realize that this was going to be a 6-month process for these two IT people to figure out what CRM system to go with. He went to a subject matter expert file, so to speak, and said, who do I know that are SMEs on CRMs in the size business I'm in? He called them. Within 5 minutes, he had an answer. He called his IT people, and he said, this is the platform we're going with. Done. You see, it's amazing. I can use subject matter experts to very much accelerate my decision making. Here's the other piece. Subject matter experts within your own company, taking them out to customers or putting them on a Zoom call. See, because suddenly I become a lot more credible when I have this SME here with me on this Zoom call. So SMEs are who you learn from and who, oh, by the way, they're going to use you as an SME. Now, there's a lower level here that's just called your network. And this is your bigger pool of people. These are people who you do want to be nurturing. You do want to be. Wonderful friend of mine, Meredith Powell, she has a routine process where she has people in her network that she says, I don't have time to touch base with every month or every couple of weeks, but I make sure that every quarter I pick up the phone and I call them every quarter. And there's some that she does every 6 months and some that she does every year. But it's just her way of just kind of keeping that normal. So it's creating this triangle, and up at the top is a mastermind. But these are levels of people that what does it do? It allows you to do this. Your reputation arrives before you do. Back up and explain what I mean by that. We've been talking about technology. We've been talking about the internet and all this sort of stuff. Nobody does business with anybody without first knowing who you are, right? So I could call somebody up and say, hey, let's get together on the phone. Well, what are they going to do? They're immediately going to go to Google and they're going to search me to say, what does it say about me? Okay. So my reputation. So here's the whole thing. Now I want to make sure that my online presence is good. But if I can call somebody up and they, oh yeah, I've heard your name from so-and-so. I know who you're from, I can connect. Wow. What does that do? You see, sales is peer-to-peer.
No. I mean, these days, especially now. Like, yes, that was always the case. Moving up to it, people weren't reaching out to salespeople without hitting Google. But in like a COVID world, where you're inside the house, and why wouldn't you go to LinkedIn and at least see, do I have a connection here or anything? It's crazy not to, right? As like a buyer. And so as salespeople, we have to understand that that's what's happening regardless, right? And yeah, during today's times, even more so than ever. That was the case previously, but now it's just like on steroids, right?
Well, it is. Now think about this for a second. we call it WFH, work from home.
Yeah.
And we in sales, many of us have worked from home for years.
Sure.
But our buyers, they always worked in an office. So there's WFH and there's what I call BFH, buying from home. So they're in a totally new, think about this. They're in a totally new world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you sold to a purchasing department, they were used to having everything right here and they have their kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a kitchen table. Whoa. Wow. You don't think that was a head spinner. Right. So don't think for a moment that it was head spinning just for salespeople. Head spinning for our customers, many times much more so than us. And so that's our whole goal. That means we have to create more of a peer-to-peer with them. We have to be more of a confident individual who can help them. Otherwise they say, forget it. I don't want to deal with you.
Man, I love these conversations, man, because, this is stuff that we don't talk about nearly enough. The mindset. I love the fact that you wrote a book about it, like literally focusing on that. At one point, I would imagine that the whole sales industry would have been like, man, that's too woo-woo. Give me the script. Show me how to close, get my whole team running again. That's all I care about. But now it's so great to have this happen in our space, man.
Well, what's funny is when, the book came out at the end of March.
Yeah.
And people began calling me when they began seeing it the first part of March, whatever. And they said, wow, this book's coming. How did you write the book so fast? How did you write the book so fast? And I said, well, I actually turned it into the publisher almost 11 months ago.
Wow.
I turned it in like June of 19. And it's just the sun, the moon, the stars, everything lined up well. Because I had a number of people say this message is so spot on right now for this COVID world that we're in. And I go, hey, it's just, I'm just trying to make it happen. But I'm passionate because I've seen it in my own life. And I share a number of stories from my own life in the book. And that's what it is. Sales is not an external activity. Sales is an internal emotion. Think about that for a moment. It's an internal emotion.
That's a perfect gem as we get ready to wrap up here, man. I gotta make one of those actual nice LinkedIn posts with your face next to it, because that's a perfect gem, man. Internal selling is where this game really starts, right? So as we wrap it up, and definitely want you to plug away, so you can tell people how to find the book, how to find you. But one last thing right before we do that, major takeaway for the industry around sales. If you had to give one thing for the time, for the moment that we're in, key point, major takeaway.
Major takeaway. It is about influence and impacting people. And you do that by selling with integrity, trust, and transparency. And when you do that, you'll have the ability to come back and talk with that person again, because you'll have earned the right, the privilege, honor, and respect. That's all it comes down to. When we are committed to helping people, it's amazing what we can do. So, yeah, I mean, the book is a mind for sales. Hey, it is in bookstores. I've been getting calls that as bookstores open up, it's in bookstores, but it's also out on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever. But I really do encourage people to pick it up, because every day I'm getting a note from somebody somewhere about how it's impacting them. The website is thesaleshunter.com. Yeah, that was people always ask me, what was your name before you changed it? That's my real last name. Just worked out well. And so anyway, thesaleshunter.com is the website, and there's tons of free stuff out there. There's tons of stuff. My whole goal is to help salespeople be more successful. And when I can do that, I sleep really well at night. It works.
I love that, man. Well, you know what? You definitely have been helping. I'm just wrapping up your actual book. I got the audio because I'm a big audio guy. I love it though, because you actually
it was as read by the author.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you would think that doesn't matter as much if it's good content, but I always like hearing from the author, man. I'd much rather hear from the person that actually, put some actual real hard time and effort into laying it out. So I'll have all those links in the actual show notes. Audience, please go out, check out the book, A Mind for Sales. Leave a review. Don't play him. Don't play yourself. Go ahead and do that. And so, guys, Mark Hunter, the legend, man, thank you so much for coming on the actual show. Much appreciated.
Thank you, man. Great selling.
Boom.